Okay, welcome to another idiot's guide to rebuilding a Suzuki GT750 by an idiot. This episode is how I fit the loom. This is a loom from BH Electrical, and obviously this is how you get it. So we're just going to position it first. I'll show you how to position it, and then we'll route it and hook it all up. The first thing I'm going to do, which I'll cut to doing, is we're going to put the headlight end, which is this end, into the headlight through the two holes at the back of the headlight. I use the top hole to put all the instruments in, the handlebar switches, all the electronics for the handlebar end, and I use the lower hole for the loom and the digital gear indicator loom. But I'll come back to you in a minute when I've got all this lot through the hole. Okay. Now we've got the loom through the lower hole. As I said before, I use the two holes. This top hole is for the handlebar switches, the instrument lights, the idiot gauge. I put everything through there. Excuse me. Through the lower one goes the wiring loom or harness. And then when we fit the digital gear indicator loom, that will also come through here. What I do is I undo this bolt, then we can swivel the headlight out slightly so it makes it easier to get the loom in. So we've now got that through, and then I'll come back to you in a second when I've repositioned the camera, and we'll get everything in place. The other thing I forgot to mention before I reposition the camera is the beauty of these looms I use from BH Electrical is that all the wires are the correct colours. So when you want to join something up, I'm sure you've seen it before where they've all got number 1, number 2, number 3. You don't need any of that. They're all the same colours, so when you plug something in, which will be that one, that's not the right one because that's a loom one. There we go, there we go. When we plug this one in, before you put it together, you look light blue, grey, dark green, orange. This is the earth wire, but it's not earthed on this. Ooh. But all the wires are the correct colours. It's an idiot's guide. It's dead simple. We'll go into putting these together in a while, but it's really straightforward. You get looms and all the wires aren't the right colours. And it just makes it really hard work. And if you're like me, not good with electricals, then these just are perfect. All the correct shape plugs, there's no messing around, they all plug together. Right, I'll reposition the camera now and come back to you in a minute. Okay, now I've repositioned the camera. You can see that we've got the harness going into the headlight. I've put a tie wrap here. I've also run it behind this radiator sub-tank rubber, and then as you come down here, I've got another tie wrap here. So this is just holding it in place at the moment, just roughly, because we're getting the positioning right of everything. On this loom, you will see, let me turn it round a bit further. There you go. There's a Y bend here, or a Y fork, This wants to go down in the recess, which you can see there. Let me just move that down. Sorry for doing all this whilst I'm doing it, but I'm trying to do it single-handed. Okay, so we want these wires, this group of wires, to go down there. So I'll just put a tie wrap onto here to hold it in place, because I'm just taking my time doing it. I wouldn't normally do it this way, but needs must and all that. So we've now got these wires. These all run down. If I tip it up a bit more, there we go. So we've got power wire. We've got this other branch which comes off. These are for your stop light, so that will go over there for the rear stop light switch. Then we've got this group of wires here. Power wire, earth, that earth to your starter solenoid. These two are for the flasher unit relay, and this one is your neutral light. So all these want to be around here so we can hook them all up to this plate when we put that on. So we know everything's roughly in the right place. If I swivel this back up here again, we've got the plug for the coils, which is absolutely, that just is in place. It's lovely, everything fits correctly. Just push that into there. One thing I would suggest, like I said before, is just make sure that all the wires, because the bike is 40 years old and people are dicked around with them, that when you're putting the new loom on, you make sure that these correspond with these. These are in the correct position. It's these that might not be. And of course, if you get it wrong, that's your firing order, which will be wrong. So you've got a white, you've got a black with a yellow trace, and you've got a solid black. So all those have to line up with those, which they do. If they're wrong, obviously it's going to fire at the wrong time. It's not going to work. These wires are for J's and some K's when they had the fan fitted, but on this particular bike, it being an A, these will just be taped up and folded back and neatly out of the way, along with that one. This wire is for the thermostat sender unit, which is on the head. And this one, black and white, is for the earth, which is to a screw on this side, which I'll show you in a minute, that we've cleaned up so it's a good earth. So that's pretty much all that sorted out. So what I'm going to do now is reposition the camera, and we'll put all the electrical blocks into the electrics plate. We'll show you how to do that. Okay, I've just had to move the camera so you can see, so I hope it all shows up okay. As you know, this is where the electrics plate goes. There's a hook here which hooks into there, and then there's a stud there which goes into this hole here. So that is how it will go on when it's in place. But first we need to get these through these holes here, and then we need the plate which goes on the back of it to clamp them in place. It's a very hit and miss clamping situation, but you've just got to make the best of it. It was never good when it was new, I don't think. So then you put a screw through there, and that holds it in place. So this is how I do it. It's very, very straightforward. on here, can you see? Yes. Okay, so this is for the alternator or generator. Well, this is the important one. This is the one that I always fit a cent electronic ignition to, and there's 3 different size plugs. One is like a T, and then you've got 2 4-pins, and then you've got this 6-pin, or the bigger one. So that's very easy. The one for the ignition, I like to put into this hole because it's nearer and you don't get too much wire with the Ascent electronic ignition. So if we get it there instead of this one, it's just easier. So what you have to do is feed the wires through this plate first. So all those go through there. So through there, you've got the 3, the 4, and the 6. This smaller one, which is the 4, goes through, we don't have to put it through this connector plate. They're very easy to put in apart from one. So you get the big one in really easily. You get the lower 3 in, but that's where the problem is. It's got the clip for the front. This is obviously the male clip. The female bit that goes over it has got a spike on it which hooks into this, but you can't get that through, so I just cut that off. I'd just rather show you how it's done. Just a pair of snips and just snip it off. Then you can get that through. You really can't get messed up with these because they only go through in one place. Right, so the electronic ignition one, or your points, I put at the bottom. This other 4-pin just goes there, and then it's just a case of, sorry, that one goes on the outside because you hook it up through that. It's just a fiddly job. You locate this little peg in there. Right, I'm going to have to do this here and I'll show you in a second because it is a nightmare. Okay, we've got all that in place now. As I say, very fiddly job. You've got to hold these in and then put this back plate on, put a screw in without them all jumping out. Pain in the arse. So now we've got them all through, it's just a case of feeding the wires in there for now, hooking that on there, letting that drop down, and then finding the nut that you've misplaced. Okay, so we put the nut on, or the washer on, and the nut. And then just buzz it up. Okay, so we've got the wires here, as you can see. Hopefully you can't. Let me take this out of here now. Okay, so if you look at from the back, you can see all those are trapped nicely. we've got this wire here that will pin up. Coming off the loom, we've strung that along the back of it above the electrical panel, and then we've got this little group of wires. So this is your tail light and your indicators, left and right indicators. So we'll deal with those in a bit. I put a tie wrap there just to hold it now. The other thing that we need to do, I've cleaned the earth mounting bolt area off, and that's this wire, the black with the white trace. So this will be put under there, and we'll feed that round to there. Bear with me. Single-handed. That goes through there. As you can see, I've buzzed the powder coat off that area there. That just simply screws into there. If I can get it down. Right, there we go. And what I'll do is, once I've tightened that down, once that's been tightened down, I'll just repaint this in black paint. Nobody can see it, but I know it's there. And I like everything nice. If you're going to do something, do it properly. So I'm going to get all the electronics on here now. So we'll have the starter relay, we'll have the regulator, the whatever it's called, can't think, indicator flasher unit, which I'll talk to you about in a second. We'll put it all back on, and I'll show you some other ways of doing things which keeps it looking good, but it makes it work properly. Back to you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, we've got the electrical panel fitted now. Regulator is here, flasher indicator unit connected to the rectifier. We've got all the wires now joined, well, most of the wires joined up here. Those are from the flasher unit. This is the earth from the starter solenoid. We've connected, or I've connected, the rectifier up. We just got the regulator now. That's the 3-pin that goes into here. Now, if you remember, this was the one that we cut that loop off because it doesn't go through there. Weird fitment. But just to show you how to do it, what I do is I hold that and I jam a screwdriver down it and then just put it in. Give it a waggle. It goes in. And that's that done. Then it's just a case of we've moved this one down here. We've put this one down here. This is for the Ascent electronic ignition, and this is for the generator here. Obviously, we won't connect those up until the engine's in. If we spin round, God, there's that many knobs on this tripod. There we go. Okay, so this is the main power wire, which we will connect to the battery lead, which will go onto this terminal. This terminal on the starter solenoid is for the big thick black one that comes from the starter motor on the engine. So we'll connect that up as and when. This is the neutral light wire, and that's it. That's the rest of them. We've got two here which I've tucked away, which, as we said before, are for the rear brake light switch. So that's that taken care of. The other thing that I've done, which I strongly recommend that you do, if I can move this thing without jerking it around too much. Yeah, there we go. There. Beautiful. This is an earth wire. And this is simple wire that comes round and it earths onto the battery box bolt, which if I lift it up, you can see is there. That is very, very, very important. If you don't have that, it won't run right. And it's just a piece of wire with two of the crimp connectors put onto, 6mm. Just screw it onto there. I've painted all these. The starter solenoid is brand new, fits perfectly, and then it's all new. It's just all correct. I've also fitted here. Obviously all these wires will, once they're all connected, will all be very neat and hidden away behind there. This is the wiring loom for the digital gear indicator. Again, that comes with the engine, it gets plugged into there, we're sorted. I also fit, if you can bend it down a bit, I also fit a thick earth lead. So that's earth to the frame, and that goes to the bolt there, which will go into when I put the engine in. Very, very important. I don't like the braided hoses or the braided wire things that are standard Suzuki. I think they look horrible. This looks a lot cleaner, so I break the rules, boys, and I put one of them on. The other point I forgot to mention, which is really a miss of me, is, let me undo this, is that these looms from Bob Harris, they're a one-piece loom. So on the original Suzuki looms, you had a connector about here, which was, why put it in? It doesn't need it. So Bob decided, what's the point? Nobody uses it. So just run the wires, solid wires all the way through, which I think is genius. Why put another connector in that can go wrong? So as I say, the wiring looms from Bob Harris are a one-piece loom that replaces looms number 1 and number 2. So I think they're £2.95 and a £5 postage within the UK. I think half a loom these days, if you can find a new loom. I've seen them for £300 for one and 350 quid for number 2. It doesn't make sense. As you can see, on this is the connector to the coils. You can hear those seagulls, they're applauding it, they love it. This is obviously part of the loom, and that's a brand new connector. This is the one that was on the bike. When I put it together, it felt a little bit sloppy. So I've just run, as you can see there, a tie wrap to hold it together. This tie wrap here is just holding all the wires together, and these are the wires that you don't use on this bike because it doesn't have the fan on it, so they just get tie wrapped up and out the way. The earth wire is there, so I will now paint all this in black paint because it just looks nice and I can't stand horrible things. Oh yes, this digital gear indicator loom off a guy called Gary Holmes. He's on the GT750 owners page on Facebook. He also advertises them on eBay, but it's a complete loom, so that goes up here round the back and then it falls in line with the wiring harness and it comes out here. So now we've got all the connectors in there ready to go. And as I say, if any of them aren't a particularly good fit, these are notoriously a bad fit. These are just the lights on the clocks. Put a tie wrap around it, hold it in place. All these are obviously new, but these have been messed around with and forever. So it's a very, very easy job just to plug it all in. We've got the two wires down here which fall where they should do. These are for the horn. So it's really, really easy. I hope you found that of some use. If you did, comment, like and share and subscribe. But yeah, that's a nice looking panel. If you paint everything, polish everything, it just looks nice. You do the job right. If you're going to do it right. How neat is that? The only thing I have got to do now is we've got these, obviously rear tail light for this, and then indicators left and right. Once we put the inner mud guard there, those will all lie on top. And then we'll route all these and get those all hooked up. The only other thing to do now is these wires, which obviously go down to the plugs we just installed, they will all get tie wrapped up to here and up there, so it's all nice and out of the way. So just keep it looking nice. It takes no time and it costs nothing to do. But it's all about doing things properly. There's a video, it's either uploaded now or it will be, showing you how to refurbish the handlebar switches. Get them looking all nice. And one, when you haven't got the reflection of the lights, how to refurbish your clocks. Or the handlebar switches. So yeah, all good. As I say, if you like it, like, share and comment. Thank you.